Hey guys, new video here. Storm Call, Whale Storm Call. I got a lot of questions at the start of the league about whether this was still good in version 3.9 with the monster buffs and everything. So I'm just gonna grab a summit map, open map to show you guys. How about this one? More monster life and stuff, right? This one looks okay. Put this in here, put it on beyond, and here we go. We're gonna do a one map of gameplay. It's pretty much the same as it's ever been. I'd say it's still in the S tier with some considerations. So you go in here, you start your regular storm call, and then now I have a maximum 4 stack. Something really surprising about the character is that it has 5,000 health, right? So usually these characters, they have about 3,000, 4,000 health, and you're really pushing it in terms of damage, AoE on the tree. But now we have explodey chests, and for all we know, explodey chests are going to be core to the game. So you don't really need to worry about, like, do I need the big AoE like Arcane Expanse? Am I going to use staves? In the top left, there's a lot of stave AoE nodes. And what we're doing is we're just focusing on like maybe pure damage and utility in whatever you want on your 6-link, right? To make it feel smooth. The major, like the baseline items on the character, the Soul Catcher, the Lavianjas, and all that stuff, that's still the same, right? The only thing I cared about when I was testing this character was, okay, see, he's like being frozen, so he's not phasing. The only thing I cared about was, can it handle the bosses? And it can. Obviously, this is a map juicer, and it's not really meant for killing like Awakener or like Conquerors, even though you could once you have the juice, once you have your 4 stack. But as you can see, pretty easy. That was 2 Stormcall stacks to one-shot that guy. Obviously, we're juiced up, had our Inspired Learning action, and 32 monsters. Let's summon a Metamorph. We're gonna pick the left side here. So I'm gonna try to keep, see, I don't have any stacks here, so I'm just like regular casting my thing, and then I drop the Storm Call whenever it's ready, see? And that is the Storm Call right there. And let's go back to town, and I'll try to keep the video pretty short because all the basic stuff is still the same, and we'll go over the important stuff. So the Soul Catcher, you want to get a perfect Soul Catcher if you can. It is very cheap to get something like this because nobody's playing whale skills anymore, right? With the new monster buffs, people are kind of scared of going the route of using a whale skill that might not be as reliable as something else. So you get the Soul Catcher, and what that does is this paired with Flask effectiveness on the tree will make it so you have 4 stacks of Whale Stormcall. My Whale Stormcall ticks every 0.07 seconds. That's pretty standard across all the previous leagues as well. So you cast once and you have about 13 ticks from 1 Stormcall. 13 ticks times 4 of these casts is 52 hits. So the tooltip is a little bit deceiving. Additionally, the way it works on larger target is you get souls depending on the chunking of the HP percentage. And then as you're hitting monsters, you'll naturally gain souls back. So although it's 4 stacks, it's not unusual when you have 0 soul gain prevention to be replenishing your stacks 2-3 times over, right? So instead of 4 stacks, you might be casting 8 stacks, 12 stacks. So the Storm Call works as it drops a marker for the regular Storm Call, and after a small delay, hits the ground, annihilates it. The Whale Storm Call just ticks every 0.07 seconds instead. Okay. The Soul Catcher is the first part. The second part is going to be the Lavianjas. And the reason I have a Lavianjas is if you watch me cast here, I'm out of mana, right? You see how slow my character is casting? Because he's out of mana. He's waiting for the mana to regen. So what I do, I hit my Soul Catcher, then I hit my Lavianjas, and now I can cast forever as long as the Lavianjas and Soul Catcher are on. Okay? Because Soul Catcher stops your mana regen. Lavianjas, when you hit it, it's going, and your skills have no mana cost during the Flask effect. So you can just cast forever, right? The mana recovery is unbelievably fast on this, and you want to get a 30% one. You want to get the worst one possible, which should be pretty cheap, no quality, because quality and increased amount recovered will increase the likeliness of your Lavianja with a mispress of your Flasks. It will increase the likelihood of your mana hitting full, and then you won't have free casts of your Storm Call. But because you are temp chaining yourself and you have basically like 12 or 15 second Lavianjas, you have a 20-second Soul Catcher, it shouldn't really happen after the start of the map. That's the core right there. Other than that, I have Quicksilver, and I have Dying Sun, and I have Cinder Swallow for the recovery. These are swappable if you find something else that works for you. This is just for AoE and protect him against volatiles and detonate. Speed at the beginning of the map, and then recovery. You get bled, you get burned. This will make it so that those things don't really matter anymore for your character. All right. We're going with the classic temp chain setup, Shackles of the Wretched with the Combs Roots. Now these two, I have another YouTube video specifically talking about temp chains. So this basically, TLDR, is they extend every effect on you, except for some like recently effects, by 4 times. Flasks last 4 times longer, buffs last 4 times longer, burns and bleeds last 4 times longer, so even the bad stuff lasts longer. Okay. I'm using a Call of the Brotherhood because I start off as all lightning damage, and when I convert, it will make it very reliable to freeze. So it's both corpse removal along with the Fizz Explodey with its corpse removal, and then it is also freeze, right? So very good there. I would say if you don't have an added cold or an ice bite on your main links, I would say the Call of Brotherhood, I wouldn't play without it because otherwise it's a little bit unreliable. Another cool thing here is if you use the elemental catalyst, I believe it's called Turbulent, you can increase the 40% lightning conversion to 48. You see how the base is 40 as the default for that ring? Now it's 48. It's kind of cool. You can do some things with that if you want. The other ring is an Assassin's Mark on hit. I have 2 curses because I have an extra curse for my chest. So I have an Assassin's Mark, LE weakness on the gloves. 2 curses. Really good. Okay. The Solstice Virgil, once again, that's in my temp chains video. And then the quiver was just, all I was looking for was to shore up my resists, and I guess like the AoE is a benefit, a little bit of crafted life on here. The wed doesn't do anything. A little global crit chance is fine, but you'll end up at 100% crit chance. So the funny thing about this is, like, look at my Stormcall. My Stormcall base crit is 11.76 since I'm not using a Hatred Watcher's Eye, and that's enough, right? That's actually enough, as you saw in the last map, so that's pretty crazy. So here I have a little crit. If I take it off, I have 8.1. So that's pretty funny. The bow is a plus level of gems bow. You can also use a staff. A staff will probably be cheaper. The main thing you're looking for on any whale skill, whether it's like Whale Fireball, Spark, Stormcall, anything, is the 40% reduced soul cost of whale skills. It's 40% on 2-handers. It's 20% on 1-handers, so you need 2 of them if you're going 1-handers for some reason. And that is you cannot play without it. Okay, you can't play without it. So you need that, and then the other bonuses are, you know, more damage, penetration, you know, plus level of skills and support gems because you're gonna be using Empower. Once again, you can use an Eclipse Staff is probably the best other option, because Eclipse Staff, if you want, you can go like things like Enigmatic Reach. You can expand it with Arcane Expanse and get more AoE. But I don't really feel like I need more AoE this league on any skill because of the Explodey chest. So that's what I'm going with there. The links, I'm going with Stormcall, Controlled Destruction, Empower, Less Duration. Less Duration is mandatory. Awaken Added Lightning, because when you get an Added Lightning, the thing about these new Awaken skills is at level 5, it's +1 level. If you can get it to level 10, it's actually +2 levels to the supported Lightning skill gems. So that's like, the thing about that is 20% more damage, right? Pretty crazy. And then Awaken Ink AoE. This one's a 15%, or it's 18% more modifier because I have plus levels. But you can just use a regular one, or you can use another damage node. Ice Bite, Added Cold, if you don't want to use Call of Brotherhood, or if you want some extra damage in there. Whatever you want, right? Lightning Penetration, Cold Penetration. Those are like kind of only half effective, but you know what I mean, right? Power Charge on crit, even maybe. Whatever you want if you don't have a Assassin's Mark. So that is good. Or if you don't have this this unnatural here. So that is the links there. The chest, I'm going with the Explodey chest because Explodey is pseudo AoE. It'll cover things and pro-lift to things as long as there are monsters in range. For mapping, there's no really real substitute for Explodey chest, so that's why I use that. Other than that, you know, you get some life and resist on there if you can. Astral plates, I guess, are the best, but 180 strength requirement, kind of steep. Other than that, the helmet is a goal. Goal, you can look up the shrine benefits. The shrines will help you out a lot if you like clicking on shrines. If you don't like clicking on shrines, use a pristine and frigid, or use a pristine and metallic, whatever you want, for -9 of your choice for the resistances of nearby monsters. and then you'll have a guaranteed life roll. You can even add a hollow fossil, but I just like the gold because it's life, it's resist, and when you hit a shrine, your character becomes ridiculous. Okay, and shrines are very common in this game, and if you use prime sextants and above, you get a lot of shrines on your maps. Okay, that's why I went with the gold. Other links, I'll just go over them real quick because I don't think they need to be talked about because they're in every other video I have pretty much. Temp Chains, Herald of Thunder, Flame Dash are Awaken Curse on hit. You can substitute Flame Dash for Enlighten if you need to. Combs doesn't have anything in there. And here I have Wrath, Lightning Jolt, Herald of Ice, and Enlighten. This is a diversion from what I usually use on Stormcall because I just want to test it out, and it's working pretty nicely. Wrath multiplies the base lightning damage, and then it gets converted. You can use Hatred here if you want because half your damage is converted anyways, and then that way you can use a Hatred Watcher's Eye with crit. And then the Herald of Ice is not bad, adds a little bit of cold damage. You can use the Herald of Ass. Herald of Ass is actually my preference on any map clearing build, but I use Herald of Ass so much that I'm going to use Herald of Ice this time, and it works out okay. It has different MTX, but yeah, Herald of Ass is probably better. Lightning Jolt is for the initial cast speed. What else? And then in the chest, people are gonna ask about this. So I had an AG in the chest. I had a 6-link AG, just because it's late in the league. It's 2 months into the league, and I didn't need to level any gems. You could put a cast when damage taken steel skin, cast when damage taken whatever you want in here. That's probably for safety. You can put in any other utilities you want, or you can put in AG. And the reason that you would put it in AG, I was using Meat Shield, Minion Life, Fortify, right, Empower to make him even beefier, and what else was it? Elemental Army to give him even more resist. The reason you're going to want to use an AG, or you might think about it, is because he can use this item. The other items are minimal because he's not really, I mean, even this item, he's not near you most of the time, but if he is, you get Fortify, you get Crit Multi, you get Culling Strike, you get a little bit of rarity. In my rarity testing, rarity is actually not bad, right? So you get this like nice little thing. This is the icon that shows up in the top left if you have the buff. So pretty good there. And then, yeah, that's about it for the build, right? I showed up all the items, showed the links and everything. And let's talk about the skill tree. The enchant for the helmet is mandatory. Okay, you have to have this because the biggest part about this build is you need to get, you see that soul gain prevention in the top right of the tooltip, soul gain prevention right now it's 2.6. If I hit my soul catcher there, you'll see it's now 0, right? So because it's 0, I'm gonna spam it again, boom. You see that? Because it's 0, I can spam and every kill feeds into another storm call, right, for you to cast whenever you want. So how do we get that? Well, we have flask nodes here. We got flask nodes right here. We have a pathfinder, so we're flask nodes on the pathfinder. If you really need, for some reason, you can even take out nature's adrenaline and go here for another 5%. And of course, we have, you know, glorious. What's it called? The brutal restraint got nerfed. You can't use that anymore. So the reason I'm using a glorious is because since the helm enchant is mandatory, and the last duration is mandatory, I can't get a temp chain's full effect, right? Because I have solstice, so I need 45. I have 11 from the curse on hit. I have 5 from here. What else am I gonna get it? Well, I have curse effect here. I got curse effect here. Curse effect here. So you need 45 in total if you're gonna use a solstice, right? So the glorious is here, so I can get the extra amount of curse effect to hit at least 45, right? Going above 45 doesn't give more temp chains on yourself effect. It won't make an 80-second temp chains until like 100 seconds, right? 80 is the cap. So other than that, glorious here, flask effect wherever you can get it, and then it's a basic spell skill tree. Inspire learning right here, it's kind of efficient. Inspire learning right here, very efficient. It's only a 2-pointer. And then the other stuff is kind of up to you. I chose to go more life. You don't need this. I took this because I hit level 100, and I'll just like put into a random point because I don't play the character anymore. But I took a lot of life because the build is good enough and fast enough where you don't need more damage really. You're just gonna go life and resist and whatever utility things you want, AoE maybe. One thing to know about this build, if I were to put the clearing builds from this league, like map clearing, map farmers, on a tier list for S tier, it'd be like cast on crit and blade vortex, right? Blade vortex, cast on crit, these are S++ tier. Blade Vortex because of the smoothness and the clear and the reliability. Cast on Crit because it's also very reliable, but it's a little bit more dangerous than BV, but because you have to be up close to the monster to hit them with Cyclone. But it has a lot of versatility because you just sock in whatever you want, and it's more fun than BV. Those two are the S tier. I would put Stormcall very much in the S tier on the basis that you're going to use a block input macro, which is within the TOS. I'll explain that a little bit here. So when you cast a Stormcall and you have 4 stacks, my Stormcall is on E, okay? When I press E sometimes in the map, you'll see my Stormcall go from like 4 to 0 in one press, like even tapping it the smallest amount I can on the keyboard. And that's because your cast speed gets so ridiculous with this build. And so the way you're going to counter that, because like one Stormcall is enough to clear everything, right? Once you're juiced up. So you don't want to use more than one unless it's like a boss or a metamorph. So what you're going to do, and I've emailed Grinding Gear about this, so I know it's like within TOS, because the rules are 1 input for 1 server action, okay? That's why when you have a trade macro, when you hit 1 key and it types out like 50 characters, that's okay within the TOS because it's not 50 server actions. After you send enter, that's 1 server action being sent to the server. Make sense? So the way that a block input macro would work, because you don't want to spam down all 4 of your Stormcalls with one press, you would make an auto hotkey macro where once you pressed your hotkey, right? My hotkey is E. I don't use one now because it's late in the league. I don't really care. It's whatever. But to play this build more efficiently, you would need one. And it would be like this. An auto hotkey macro that makes it so that after you press E, or whatever your hotkey is, it will like unplug your keyboard, right? It's like you can do things like, I think it's like sleep. You can do things like, there's like a block input macro. Specifically, you can look it up on the AHK website. That basically, you press the key and it will block any input from your keyboard or your mouse, maybe for whatever X amount of milliseconds or seconds, depending on what you want, right? And then after that, it'll plug back in your keyboard, and then you're good to go again, right? So that will make it so that you can only press it once, okay? So like you would need this macro to press 1 Stormcall, and that way like 4 presses in sequence would be 4 Stormcalls, okay? Instead of 1 press being 4 Stormcalls. That's very important to play this build efficiently. But if you don't want to do that, you're going to lose a lot of speed. I'm just going to guess you're going to lose 40% efficiency or something if you don't have that. Trust me, it's very important to use. But if you can do that, it is in the S tier along with Cast on Crit and Blade Vortex for farming. Because of the coverage, because of how it cleans up Beyonds. The Stormcall lasts 1.7 seconds on the ground, meaning it cleans up Beyonds, okay? Other things on the tree that I need to talk about. I'm using a Wrath Watcher's Eye Unnatural here, so I get the free charges and like some stuff over here. And that's about it. I don't have a pure talent or anything, so my crit is a little bit low. I just have Conqueror's potency as well for Flask effect. If you look at this, like you can look at my tree, the POB will be below. If I take out that, and I go like this, I press it, 0.13. So if I take out the Conqueror's potency, if you don't have the levels for the jewel sockets, then you'd have to take out this, right? You would take out this, you go here, and now watch. Okay, that's actually not, no, it's 0.04. So you actually need, wait, actually that doesn't make sense. Wait, hold on. Oh, it's because this applies to the, okay. Whoops. Okay, there you go. Okay, 0.0, yeah. If I take out this, let's press that again. Okay, yeah. So actually, you do need the conk potency. Okay, my bad. So that is the video, and the build is pretty good. I hope you guys enjoy it. Stormcall going forward, because we know what the monster scaling is like, because we know Conquerors is core to the expansion. It's basically going to be the same until they nerf it or they make some other changes to the game, but this is pretty core to the game. So yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, if you have any questions, you can ask me on twitch.tv/qdog_. Stream there every day. And thanks for watching my video. Okay, bye guys, bye.